Hi everyone, I'm Josh and welcome to Josh Wright Piano TV. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to share a brief thought. A lot of these videos that I share on my channel are digging deep into pieces or exercises or technical tips, but I think focusing on the mind game is also very important as a pianist. This is such a hard pursuit to learn piano music, to pursue the pieces that you love. If you choose to make this a career, it's a very difficult career. It's full of uncertainty. And so no matter where you're at, whether you're doing this for fun, as a hobby, or whether you're doing this as a career, there's a concept that has really helped me. It is the idea that we often overestimate what we can get done in a short amount of time, and we underestimate what we can do in a long period of time. So today's practice session might have been terrible, but by the end of the week, wow, I actually got done what I wanted to. Or maybe that's not the case. Maybe this week or this month has been going really bad, but this 6-month period or this 1-year period, wow, I actually got a lot accomplished. And then I think the one that applies the most to all of us is we overestimate what we can get done in a year, and we underestimate what we can get done in 5 years or 10 years, especially 10 years. I look back on many things that I never thought I'd be able to do that I accomplished over a period of several years. I've even shared some of my own weaknesses on this channel and how I didn't know how to solve them. And with a lot of time and persistence, sometimes taking years, I was able to come up with solutions. My teachers, Susan Duhlmeyer, Logan Skelton, and Sergei Babayan, have been instrumental in helping me accomplish this. So I would always encourage everybody to surround themselves with musicians who are better than you are. There are so many online resources. I try to make these videos to be a resource for those who are studying piano. I know there's many other wonderful online tutorials that you can turn to if you don't have a good teacher in your area. There's online lessons now. COVID, as horrible as that time period was, it really forced everybody online. So I know a lot more teachers around the world are open to doing online lessons. That was a hidden blessing of that time period. And I've been able to connect with so many of you over the years through this platform, through the platform of Zoom or Skype lessons, through email. So reach out to musicians who you admire if you are on this journey and need a little bit of encouragement. I know that I owe just so much to my teachers and also to my wife, Lindsay, who has helped me every step of the way. But think about experiences in your own life. I remember I got a concert engagement in June to perform the next January, Rachmaninoff Third Concerto. This was back in 2017 that I got the engagement, and then 2018. And it was a small local orchestra down in southern Utah. They were so fun to work with. It wasn't like the New York Philharmonic or anything. I would say, I want 3 years if it was the New York Philharmonic. Obviously, you can't always choose those things. But they called me about 6 months before the performance, and they said, we'd love to have you play Rachmaninoff Concerto. And I said, oh, great. I performed a couple of years ago, Rock 2. They're like, well, we want Rock 3. And I said, oh, okay. So I had learned the first and third movement when I was quite young. I was 14 and 15 when I did the first and third movements, and I immediately got to work on those because I thought, oh, those are going to be so much more difficult than the second movement. And I remember each of them came back in a matter of 3 or 4 weeks because I had worked so hard on them when I was younger. And I thought, oh, great, I've got the first and third movement. Let's start digging into the second. It's only 12 pages. And I spent 3 months just memorizing that thing. I was so slow with memorizing. I can usually memorize things a lot quicker, especially 12 pages. But my goodness, that was so chromatic. And there was so much fingering work that I had to work out to get comfortable in those passages in the second movement that were giving me difficulty. But looking back, I was able to finish it. First of all, I worked hard. I planned ahead. I didn't try to do this all in 1 week. But I did overestimate how quickly I could get that third movement. But because I had planned ahead enough and said, I'm starting to work on this immediately, I'm not going to save it for 3 months before the performance, I was able to get that memorized. I was able to get it to a point that I was happy with. And the performance went pretty well. It's on YouTube. It wasn't a perfect performance, but it went better than I may have thought I would play Rock 3. It overall turned out to be a good experience. I've also shared technical challenges that have come up in my life over the years on this channel. And sometimes those technical challenges, I mean, I've played for 30 years, so we're talking about pretty niche things. Like one of the challenges I shared was double thirds trills. I couldn't ever do them in standard fingerings like 1-3-5-2, but through the help of actually a girl that I was at the same studio that I was in the same studio at Michigan. She was, I think, 18 years old, and I was probably 27. She played it for a studio class, and I said, how in the world do you do that? I have searched for years and years. I took it to all my teachers, and they all said, work this way or that way, and I couldn't find the solution. And she said, oh, I do an inverted fingering. And I was like, oh my goodness, that was the solution I've been looking for over a decade, because I started that piece when I was 16 years old, and I played it, but it was quite slow, and that was a catalyst. More recently, I had an issue with my right hand ascending scales not being as fast as all my other directions. Now, I have to cut myself a little slack because I look back at my old videos. I think my right hand ascending scales were around 180 or 185, and I could still do them at that. But through some work that I did, I was able to get all other directions of every scale up to 200, 210, even some of them to 220. And I was like, okay, first of all, I never thought I could do that, but it bugs me that my right hand couldn't go up as fast. This was about 2 years ago that I discovered this deficiency, if you want to call it that. And I've just been working at it a little bit every day. And I went through some like dark mental periods of where I got really discouraged. Like, why can I not do this direction as well as this direction in my right hand and both directions in my left hand? I even did a video maybe 6 to 12 months ago on scale rebuilding, and I shared some of my thoughts on that, and it continues to get better. It's very encouraging, but that's taken a lot longer, whereas a lot of times I'll sit down and be able to fix things in a matter of a few sessions. So no matter where you are, I just share those personal experiences to hopefully make this a little bit more relatable. Sometimes the solution comes in a month, whereas you were hoping it would come in a week. Or sometimes it comes in 6 months and you were hoping it would come in 1 month. And sometimes it takes years, whereas you were hoping, hopefully I can solve this in a few months. So don't get discouraged if you don't meet your short-term goals. Look at the long-term goal that you're trying to accomplish, and I think that that's a much healthier way to live life. You could apply this to anything. You could apply this to weight loss or weight gain or muscle gain if you're working out in the gym a lot, or you could do this to your finances. You might not be able to fix your problems financially right away, but you can do it over several years or months or years, whatever it might take, or relationships or whatever it might be that you are working on. Look at the long game, and that always helps me to not get so discouraged in the present moment. It's so easy to compare. We have pianists like Sergei Babayan and Daniel Trifonov and Argerich and Zimmerman, these looming figures that we all, well, I don't know if you look up to them, but I certainly look up to those pianists, and we can get discouraged thinking, I'll never be as good as they are, and we probably won't. But at the same time, we can accomplish our own goals as we set them, both short-term and long-term. But I always like to play that long game if the short-term goals aren't going as quickly as I can. And usually by the end of the year, I usually set yearly goals, and I know my abilities and my limitations and my strengths and weaknesses. So I usually set an accomplishable yearly goal. And when I'm starting in January or February, I'm pretty discouraged. I'm like, I am never going to finish these. But they usually go a little quicker. Like one of my goals this year was to perform the the four Scherzi, and I thought, okay, and I had some other projects going on. I probably won't be ready until November. Well, I just performed them in September. So that one went a little quicker than I had imagined. And then there was other pieces that I'm like, wow, I'm behind. So I'm still working on those. But looking at the long game, we often are able to accomplish more than we think. So I hope today's just a bit of encouragement for any of you who are struggling. If any of you have any questions, my email is josh@joshwrightpiano.com. I'll leave a few links in the description below. One of them is for a free webinar containing 10 of my favorite tips I use in my teaching and playing and practicing every day to improve quicker. So if you haven't checked that out, I'd highly recommend that. I'll also leave a few links for my paid courses if you'd like to go even deeper than this channel goes over. And finally, I'll leave a link for my gear kit, all the gear that I use in my studio to make these videos, make recordings, in case you're looking to do something similar. Have a great week. Good luck in your practice sessions.